Curt Cignetti does it again. Another commit for Indiana. This time, it's your starting quarterback. Josh Hoover from TCU is an Indiana Hoosier.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day in the nation's #1 sports podcasting network in the world. So thank you so much for making that so. Thank you for being here on a live edition of Locked On Hoosiers as Josh Hoover, that's right, Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback transfer, has picked Indiana. He will be your starting quarterback in the year of 2026. And oh my goodness, what a day this has been already. You've picked up 2 commitments early. You've picked up another 2 down the stretch. Make this 5 now that Indiana has picked up on this Sunday afternoon. And we had to go live. We had to go live and talk about the insanity that today is of transfer portal mania for Indiana football, as they said, you know what? Let's get all of our visitors in. Let's get everybody here and let's make Sunday our day. Josh Hoover is now an Indiana Hoosier. And man, it doesn't get better than this, folks. It really doesn't. You're talking about a guy who was at TCU for 4 years, okay, threw for over 3,000 yards this past season, nearly 3,500 yards this past season. He has over 9,000 yards in his career, over 70 passing touchdowns as well. This dude's a gunslinger. He absolutely is a baller. He's a winner. He's a great quarterback, a great passer, a great decision maker, and he will fit perfectly in the Indiana offense. I mean, this was a match made in heaven. Okay, there were several quarterbacks out there in the transfer portal window that we knew were going to enter and that eventually did, right? We knew about Mestamaker. We knew about Hoover. We knew Sam Levitt, Brendan Sorsby. There's a lot of names out there. But Josh Hoover just made the most sense to me with how he plays, pocket passer, deep down the field, pro-level throws. He just seemed to make the most sense for Indiana. And now he is your quarterback for 2026. And there were some conversations, right, about if it was going to be Alberto Mendoza's show or if they would bring in a quarterback. If you listened or watched Locked On Hoosiers consistently, you know that we told you a transfer portal quarterback was coming. And Josh Hoover felt like the perfect option, felt like the best choice for Indiana. Was he the highest ranked transfer portal quarterback? No, he wasn't. Was he the highest ranked portal player at all? No, he wasn't. But since when does Indiana care about that? Since when do the Hoosiers give a darn about rankings and stars and things like that? The Hoosiers simply don't. And for people that want to live in that world, who, if you're not just the super 5-star and ranked 1,000 or whatever, then I don't want you, then you can live that life. That's fine. Indiana has proven they go get players they want and players they know that can win football games. And Josh Hoover is that guy. This past season at TCU, he had a 66% completion percentage, threw for almost 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. His passer rating was 153. Folks, that's really, really good. That's really good, okay? Over 9,000 yards in his career. Again, over 70 touchdowns in his career, the exact number. Okay, he has thrown for 9,629 yards, 71 touchdowns, and just 33 interceptions. Also has 8 rushing touchdowns as well. So he kind of can do it all, can Josh Hoover. And a guy that will be a senior, have a year of eligibility stepping in. You just went and got one of the best players in the portal. Pair that with Nick Marsh, who you just picked up from Michigan State earlier today. Pretty darn good 1-2 punch offensively, if you ask me. Pretty darn good in just a couple of days of the portal being open and Indiana just now getting started. Because We had to play in a Rose Bowl, in case people forgot. We had a college football playoff game we had to worry about. And now you hit the portal and you have fixed the quarterback problem for 2026 because, look, we love Fernando Mendoza. There's no doubt we love him. He's not coming back. He ain't coming back. And he shouldn't. It would be dumb for him to do so. He can go to the pros, get drafted, and try to make a career on Sundays. You needed an answer. You needed a fix. And Josh Hoover is that guy. And I think this is a dream scenario for all parties involved, for Josh Hoover and his camp, for Indiana and theirs. Because we've talked about Indiana becoming a quarterback dreamland, a destination location for guys like Josh Hoover who can simply throw it all over their yard. Why would you not want to come to Indiana as a quarterback? 2 transfer quarterbacks have already worked here, right? Curtis Rourke from Ohio, he's playing in the NFL. And Fernando Mendoza from California, he just won the Heisman Trophy. Every quarterback in the portal should have been knocking on the door and calling the phone of Indiana, say, please let me come to Bloomington. I'm begging you. And Josh Hoover said, hey, I'd like to come play there. And Indiana looked at his stats and looked at his film and said, I think we'd like you to play here too. And they come together as Josh Hoover commits to the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana up to 5 now commits in the class of 2026 for the transfer portal. There are some things, okay, that stand out about him, right? I love his downfield passing. I think he had an 85-yard touchdown or an 85-yard pass this season. He's not scared to air it out. He looks like he should be playing in the NFL. He's built like a truck, 6'2", 200 pounds as a quarterback, and he's got experience. Man, I know this is another one-year rental. I get it. I totally understand that there are some concerns on that, but you've got to be excited about the experience that this guy brings. And he's had weapons around him at TCU, and he's played in an up-tempo offensive juggernaut offense like TCU. At times, it's kind of hit or miss, but Josh Hoover makes that thing go. And I think this just makes perfect sense for Indiana. And so I want to talk more about Josh Hoover on this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. Going to show some love to our sponsors. We'll come back, and there is one thing concerning that I mentioned early on in the Josh Hoover sweepstakes that he will have to overcome in Bloomington. We talk about that coming up next on this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. This live show of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays always feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame spot, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action begins. On Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern time in the evening, it's become appointment viewing around the NBA during Happy Hour. You can open up the FanDuel app. They'll have boosts and bonuses and surprises for you all right there to get your weekend started. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. The NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. This live edition of Locked On Hoosiers also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, you name it. It's just awesome. It's the best sport on the planet right now is college football. But getting tickets to some of those big time events, it can be really difficult. Not with our friends at Game Time. They give the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. So if you're looking to go to the Peach Bowl, Indiana fans, down in Atlanta, there's one place you need to look. That's on the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's Locked On College. Use that code for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back into this breaking news live edition of Locked On Hoosiers as we discuss Josh Hoover committing to Indiana, who will be most likely the starting quarterback in 2026 in Bloomington for Curt Cignetti. I'm Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, a part of this live show of Locked On Hoosiers. Man, today Whew, today has been a whirlwind. Let me tell you, we had 2 shows already go up today about 2 commits, a safety from Wisconsin and then Nick Marsh, the receiver from Michigan State. Had 2 episodes go up about that. I already have my episode done and ready to go for tomorrow. And look, I knew this had a chance to happen. I just didn't know all of this was happening today because there's 2 more commits that we need to talk about as well. We'll do that on a separate episode on the defensive side of the football, but Josh Hoover instantly becomes a Heisman contender next year when he steps into the Indiana offense. Tell me how he can't. Tell me how he can't compete to be the best quarterback in the Big Ten and the best quarterback in the country next season, given that you're just plugging and placing another great player into the Indiana juggernaut offense. Because we just saw Fernando Mendoza, right, who was very good at Cal. Very good. Most people didn't know it because he had nobody around him, right? He had no talent, no help, no skill guys at California other than his running back, Jaden Ott, who went to Oklahoma and just didn't really do a whole lot. I don't know what happened there. But nobody really knew the potential that Fernando Mendoza had. He comes to Indiana. He wins the Heisman Trophy. Same thing with the quarterback before him and Curtis Rourke, who came from the MAC. He came from Ohio and was quietly one of the best quarterbacks in the nation 2 years ago. So now you go get somebody who is a carbon copy of those guys. Pocket passer, go through the progressions, give them time, and they'll pick you apart. That's Josh Hoover, man. That's Josh Hoover. That's literally him. You could darken them out and just have a blank silhouette of these players, and they look the exact same. That's why he just committed in the transfer portal. That's why Indiana went after him. Because they know what they see. They know what he is. And the Hoosiers, with Curt Cignetti and Mike Shanahan calling plays, they know what they can do to mold him into exactly what Indiana needs. It won't take much. He's the best one stepping in. Of the 3 that Indiana's brought in under this regime, right, all one-year rentals, by the way, this is the best one. Josh Hoover is the best quarterback when he steps on campus than the other 2 were. I think that's a fact. I think it is. And that's nothing against the other 2. That shows how good Josh Hoover is. Shows how talented he is. Shows the potential that he can get even better. And it's because he's going to be at Indiana. So this just instantly sets up for what could be an exciting 2026. Not trying to wish the way of the 25 season by any means. But Josh Hoover's the real deal. And I think you're talking early Heisman candidacy. He's got to prove it on the field, of course. He'll be in those conversations when we're going through the summer Big Ten media days and getting ready for the start of another year. Josh Hoover is going to be in those conversations, especially with some more additions that Indiana is going to add on the offensive side of the football. Again, Josh Hoover has committed to play for Indiana, 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a Texas native, has 1 year of eligibility remaining, so another 1-year rental that Indiana plans on using. Threw for 3,500 yards this past season, 29 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. And I told you before we went to break that there was something that concerned me just a little bit about Josh Hoover. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, actually, when this started to circulate a little bit, that Josh Hoover's name started to get connected to the Indiana position. It's the idea and the fact. It's not even an idea. It is a fact. It's the truth. He does have a tendency to turn the football over. And 13 interceptions this year, 11 interceptions last year. And you look at that on the box score, right? You look at that in his stats and you say, oh, well, he just makes bad decisions. Oh, he can't throw it to the right team. Don't want that guy. I mean, he has a 3-to-1 nearly touchdown to interception ratio, but double-digit interceptions is not acceptable for me. I get it. I understand. I know where you're coming from. But if you look at some of the film for him and you watch some of the games as I have when this started to gain some steam and momentum, a lot of those turnovers are aggressive interceptions. And what I mean by that is trying to force something that sometimes isn't there, right? We've seen that with Fernando Mendoza sometimes, trying to squeeze it into a window that simply isn't there. Good news is All right. I think there's two good things that will help that cause. And that's a good problem. I love a quarterback that believes he's got it and can make every single throw. Turns out no quarterback can make every single throw. It's impossible. But I think there's two factors that will help overcome that for Josh Hoover. One, he's stepping into this Indiana offense with Mike Shanahan and his amazing staff. They'll fix that. They'll coach that out of him. They'll say, hey, you don't need that. You don't need to force things. You don't need to take the throw that maybe isn't there. You don't have to do that. We're okay. Find an open guy, live to see another play. We've got running backs. We've got receivers. We're fine. Okay. You don't have to make every single play. You have guys around you that can step up and help out. I think that's the good thing, number one. Good thing number two is you've now elevated yourself, if you're Indiana, to where you have now got a P4 quarterback stepping in rather than, I guess, technically, Fernando Mendoza was a P4 quarterback coming from Cal, right? Members of the ACC, which is just disgusting. And then Curtis Rourke from Ohio, which is the MAC. This is the highest level quarterback you've brought into this point. He doesn't need a whole lot of coaching. A little bit, sure. But he's not stepping up to a level he's not familiar with. Is Indiana in the Big Ten better than TCU in the Big 12? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you're not taking him from some no-name team and throwing him against the best talent in the country and hoping it works out. He's going to be just fine. So I think the turnovers are not an issue for me based off what I've seen on film. Now, if we get halfway through the year and he's got 8 or 9 interceptions next year, yeah, then we have a problem because those are timely and they come back to bite you. But I think Josh Hoover, man, this is who Indiana wanted. This is who they went after, and they got him. And I said this earlier about Nick Marsh, and I'll say it again about Josh Hoover. This goes to show that Indiana, if they want him, they can get him. If Indiana wants somebody in the portal or in recruiting, they can get them. Money's not an issue. Talent and playing time is not an issue. Development is not an issue. Logo is not an issue. If Indiana wants somebody in the transfer portal, they can get them. They've done it twice already. They've got 5 to this point. But landing somebody like Nick Marsh, who at the time we were questioning, at least publicly, who was going to throw the football to him, right? And now with Josh Hoover, that's a dynamic duo, man. And if you do bring back Charlie Becker and whoever else on that team, if Omar Cooper's not coming back, but man, you go get one more receiver in the transfer portal, you keep loading up on the offensive line and get another running back in there, this offense isn't going to skip a beat. It's been one of the best offenses in the country up to this point, and you fully believe it can carry over into 2026 with Josh Hoover at the quarterback position. I see so many of you excited in the comments, as you should be. Man, this is big time stuff, and I appreciate you being here. We've got more to talk about. I'm going to have an episode coming up here in just a little bit about 2 defensive commits that have come on since this afternoon. One from Kansas State. The other is from, was it Cincinnati? Did I see that right? I hope I did. The Josh Hoover news dropped, and I literally dropped everything to make sure that we could go live on this. So we have 2 more to talk about. And, oh, well, how about that? Since we've been live, Indiana picks, oh my gosh, Indiana picked up another commit since we've been live. Boston College transfer running back Turbo Richard has committed to Indiana. 1,300-yard guy with 13 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons. So I've seen some people asking about a running back. There you go. Turbo. Yeah, right there. I missed that. It happened since we've been live. Dude, Indiana is dominating. Indiana's on a roll. Yeah, there we go. Some of you saw it, and I wasn't able to see it yet. Turbo is such a cool name for a running back. You're exactly right on that. Okay, well, more to come, I guess. More to come on the running back position and 2 defensive players. So that makes, is that 6 now? Is that 6 players that Indiana has landed today in the transfer portal? That is unbelievable. Unbelievable what Indiana is doing right now. I don't know if we've seen a run like this. On one day, on one day to have 6 guys, at least right now. There could be more tonight, tomorrow, Tuesday. I don't know. Very well could be more. But my goodness, what a day this has been already. And the highlight is Josh Hoover committing to play for the Indiana Hoosiers. He will be your starting quarterback in 2026. I see some people, I want to address this here really quickly. I see some people talking about Alberto Mendoza, right? Younger brother of Fernando, who is on the team right now, is the backup right now. And some people concerned that he may transfer away. I don't see that happening. And I say that because I don't think Alberto's at a point in his young career to really have a whole lot of negotiating, I guess. And what I mean by that is there's just not a whole lot on film. Thankfully for him, he has played 6 or 7 or 8 fourth quarters this year. But I don't know if there's enough for a team to jump on that immediately and say, you're our guy. We're giving you a chance. You can come start. If you're Alberto Mendoza, let's think about this for a second, right? As Josh Hoover commits to Indiana, again, appreciate everybody being here on this live show. If you're the backup quarterback at Indiana right now, right, and you've sat behind your older brother who just won the Heisman Trophy, and now Josh Hoover's coming in as a 1-year rental. Again, 1 year of eligibility for Josh Hoover, the TCU transfer who commits to Indiana today. If you're Alberto Mendoza, and you truly believe that you can be the guy at some point, why not wait 1 more year? 1 more year in one of the best systems in the country at Indiana to develop, get better, and then you step in as would that be a junior at that point? And you have a chance to be the guy. I know that's hard, and it's easier said than done sitting here in my room behind a microphone. Totally understand. But if you're Alberto, I think there's so much more benefit for you staying at Indiana, a place that I think he likes. I think he clearly likes it. He recruited his brother to come here, right? Did Alberto Mendoza. And you're one play away from being the guy, and have a chance to prove it. So I just don't think he's got enough right now to go somewhere and be the guy anywhere else. I don't think he's got enough out there yet. And that's nothing against him. I just think he's too young and too raw. And I think his best bet is to stay and sit behind Josh Hoover, play in the Indiana system again, and see what happens. But the highlight here is Josh Hoover will be your starting quarterback in 2026. Indiana goes to the transfer portal, picks up a 3,500-yard passer from a year ago, has thrown for over 9,000 in his career, and Josh Hoover, the TCU transfer quarterback, is the new man in Indiana for 2026. Thank you so much for being here on this live show. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel before you leave, okay? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on your audio podcasting platforms as well. We're going to have this posted there later today. We have 2 other episodes that are up already this afternoon about Indiana, a safety from Wisconsin, Michigan State receiver. That is Nick Marsh. Okay. We've already talked about those guys. So go and check those videos out, talk about and learn more about Indiana. As soon as I'm done here, I'm recording another episode for the 3 other guys that have committed to Indiana so far. 2 more defensive players and a running back for the Hoosiers. I'm going to record that right now. Give me an hour, maybe, and I'll have that video up for you as well. So thank you so much for being here. It's a great day to be an Indiana Hoosier, and more to come today and tomorrow and every other day right here on Locked On Hoosiers. Until next time, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.